Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the center of love at the intersection of here and now. Thank you all for being here. And before we get into it, inspired by Lassia, inspired by Sherry, I would like to try my hand at prayer. It's something that I'm not extremely familiar with in terms of speaking out loud prayers. Usually I pray in my journal and speak to the great teacher that way, but got to push ourselves out of our comfort zones and try new things. So here we are. So if you want, you can close your eyes. If not, just stare at me like a weirdo. So I'm fine too. Oh, great teacher. Oh, great teacher. We approach you today with our hearts full of gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When I think of all the things for which I am grateful, I'm overwhelmed. And so I'm just going to pick a few here to spotlight for you, great teacher. Thank you for coffee. So delicious, so energizing. Thank you for the gift of being a human who, through curiosity and ingenuity, realized that these lovely little beans can be consumed to great effect. There are many creations and creatures in the universe, but you have blessed us with many unique gifts. Reflection, self-awareness, and many others, which allow us to tap into your creative power, which, of course, as I'm always reminded, is also our power, because we are one and the same. So thank you for these and the many other gifts that you bestow upon us. Thank you for this community and for the opportunity for us to connect and for us to generate and tap into more and more love. Amen. Thank you, Space Jesus. Welcome. Welcome to the center of love. I'm all about modernizing our spiritual symbols, right? So we have to modernize our stories. We can't just keep using the same old story. So for me, modern Jesus is space Jesus and his father art in space, so it's a more cosmic Christ, right? But anyways, you'll get used to it. It's been over a year. You still haven't seen the real me yet. When I get up here, I always put a polish on, but we're starting to get more comfortable now. So you're going to see another side.
You're here.
The trickster. The trickster is here. The center of love is a community. Obviously, we're all here together in community, but it's more than this. The center of love is an experience. What kind of experience is it? Good question. Any words we ascribe to it, though, will not do it justice, because experience by its very nature transcends language, right? It's like if I ask you to describe the color red. You can't, because red is an experience. And at the end of the day, there is a barrier or a gap between our experience and language. But I've been blessed to visit this center of love many times, and I visit it on a daily basis. And so let me try my hand at describing it for you very briefly. Usually when we talk about love, it's I love you. I love the table. I love this house. Love with object. The center of love, in my experience, is love without object. It's not I love you or I am loved. No, it's I am love. And that center exists in all of us. And when we're in the center, or at least when I'm in the center, what I feel is acceptance, patience, kindness. I'm more considerate towards others, and I feel at peace. You see, there are triggers in my life, but when I'm in the center of love, those triggers are diffused. And the things that typically irritate me, frustrate me, irk me, or trigger my judgment don't do that anymore. They can't touch me. It's like being in the eye of the storm, right? The tornado is violent and powerful, but if you're in the very center of it, you're in a place of perfect stillness. And that, to me, is the experience of the center of love. And so, one of the goals of our community, one of the purposes of our existence, and the intent when we gather, is to help each other locate and spend as much time as we can in that center, or the center of love, to help us find the center of love, which is our true nature. By sharing our wisdom and experiences together, our sorrows and our joys, our hopes and fears, we open ourselves up to that state of being love. We become messengers of love in a world that sorely needs it, might I add. And if we're messengers of love, what is the message that the world sorely needs? Again, words don't do it justice, but if I was going to boil it down, I would say all is one and love is the way. It's that simple. You don't need an Old and a New Testament to get there. It's right here, right now. All right. That being said, we've got a wonderful speaker here today to talk to us about a topic that I am embarrassed to say I don't know very much about. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about fractals. Our speaker today is a life coach who helps her clients and other people in her life discover the connection between their thoughts and their physical health. How many of you have discovered this connection? How many of you have realized that your thoughts are not these immaterial, wispy things? They actually are embodied and they affect our physical health. Good. So you're not going to teach anybody that one today, but everybody here already knows it's perfect. Let's go home. No, I'm just joking. So she helps people realize this connection, and then using a variety of modalities, she helps people tap into their own innate power to heal, which I think is a very important thing to note, because a lot of people out there portray themselves as healers. They say that they will heal you. But Tracey, she's very clear about this. She's not healing you. She's helping you to heal yourself. What a beautiful, beautiful purpose and mission in life. So without further ado, here to talk to us about fractals, here is Tracey Milanovich.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so appreciate this group. Beautiful people. Alanis Morissette, hey, interesting artist. A little bit dark sometimes, yet so beautifully insightful, right? Sometimes that darkness just harbors beautiful nuggets when they come out. My intent here today is to give you my greatest understanding of nature, fractals, and a higher level of consciousness, how it's all connected, a way to access greater energy, and what that looks like, feels like, and sounds like. It's just pervasive everywhere. So, and for being our ultimate potential, because what is the potential of a human being? It's unlimited. What do we actually express? It's disappointing. Anyways, I encourage you, not always. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Why must I? And when will I use it? So fractals, what does that have to do with oneness and energy? Perhaps each one of us is a part of a greater whole. We just can't see it from our current perspective. As within, so without. Dr. Joe Dispenza said, to understand the whole, start with the cell. Is starting with the cell, starting with the soul? Are they one? Are they the same? Is it pervasive? Simply another layer from whence energy comes, be it physical, mental, emotional, the me. I like that acronym, mental, emotional, my identity, who I am. Or spiritual, which is also called in some places causal. Is it the cause of all? The spiritual. Is my mind inside of my body, or is my body inside of my mind? The causal container. If we look at that word, anyways, is the science actually discovering the spirit within? In that internal drive to understand? Is that where we're going? Are they one and the same? Two ends of the same stick? A fractal world where everything is mirrored, a pattern. Ben Weiss, writer of a book I've not read, The Fractal Geometry of Nature, defines it as a kind of pattern we observe often in nature and in art. Beautiful art all around us. Basically, from every acorn grows an oak tree. There is a pattern to things. If we observe, from trees, the seed must first be sometimes digested or heated to break it open, to allow it to come out, whether it's pressured or fired or how it's germinated. Is that the same for us, for our soul to break out? For what's in the cell to truly be revealed? So like a tree, from seedling to trunk to branches and so on, is the cell to the tissue to the organ to the organism? Is that the pattern that we're searching to see that's all around us all the time? I spoke with a highly spiritual lady once. She had arthritis, about the process, the pattern to healing. We spoke of stopping certain foods, detoxing the chemicals, stop, detox, and then what shall we give? We hadn't gotten to that point yet. She was going on holidays. On holidays, she stopped to take a picture. And in that process, she stood on a fire ant hill and she was bitten horribly all over the place. Shortly thereafter, her arthritis was cured. Fire ants contain in their venom formic acid, which is an essential component, a protein that helps heal arthritis. Isn't that interesting? Simply by her intent, we did not have to give her anything. So I ask, are we one? An organism responsive that responds simply to the ask, to the intent behind it? She had the intention and had to do nothing. It came to her. So as an organism, humanity and nature, are we one? Yeah, all of us. Mo Gaudet, in his book, Solve for Happy, he lost his son, whose intent was to be everything, everywhere, all at once. Interesting. That saying existed long before the movie that's come out recently. Everything can be used for good or for bad or benign. I've not seen the movie, so I'm not sure yet. It's often a statement. Was it good?
Yes. Liked it.
Awesome. It's a statement often used by highly spiritual people, is what I've heard. Possibly his son's beliefs, though, underneath that led to his death. I believe we can exist everywhere, everything all at once, because we already are that which we seek. So is spirit the ultimate scientist? Is it everything, everywhere, all at once? Carl Sagan, and I'm paraphrasing what a friend said, we are nature, looking in on itself in order to inform itself. That mirrored reality. Am I, are you, simply a cell in the divine? And so when we look into another, we lend a hand or give to another, are we perhaps helping ourselves selfishly to discover? When one cell, one soul, one person becomes more and more aware, because it's a continuum, and chooses a higher potential, rather than staying stuck, mired in stories and clouded lenses, which it looks and listens to, from the darkness, which we've all been in, then intends and acts upon, does one, and I use this loosely, realizing one is all and all is one, does one realize this connection, the fruition, the fruit of all of the efforts, an exemplary outcome to the experiment, when one reaches back in order to help itself, ourself, open more of our heart. Is giving really receiving then? It would appear many of the great awakened people know this and speak of it often. So I implore you, speak being kind and compassionate to another, no matter where they are. Choose words carefully. Words create worlds, inside and out. Not to idolize any mentors, simply to see what an ideal image is they hold the possibilities for, an ideal of our potential, not an idol. Looking into another, the great masters, be it Jesus, whoever, what an ideal of what we can all be, that we all are, which I believe we're never meant to idolize anything. I think that's in the commandments somewhere. An image made of imagination, of choosing what's possible. rather than probable. Having one's own intent rather than becoming another's. Maybe one formed on lower values. Sometimes we become part of another's intention because we don't set our own, because we don't know what to ask for, because we remain, as Dre had said, in our inner child, trying to please or get love when we already are that. Be the thinker of your thoughts, at cause for all that you experience. That would seem to be the most relevant, rather than suffering from the effects, the ouch. See only the results which are experienced through your five senses, simply as results, as feedback from the world around you. Again, the universe, nature, essence, spirit, I'll use all of these interchangeably, looking in on itself to inform itself, is you, knowing and doing better to become more, to become the being. Then return to the scientists within, set a new experiment, check the results, see what you've gotten. So back to the tree, being the physical reality we can see and that can guide us. Returning to our nature, and perhaps where it begins in thought again. Just think about that. After seeing the thought, see it better, project it out into the future, that which you truly desire. Unwaveringly, like a dog after a bone, hold the vision. Always hold the vision. Hear nothing, only the sweet sound of, the smell of, the taste of, the sight of the fruit you desire from that tree, from that thought, from what you have planted. Like a tree firmly rooted in your beliefs, you can branch out and cross-pollinate. It is said that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Who are you spending time with? Which books do you read? Do it better, be it better, see it better. Both and rather than either or. Although it's a good place to start, when we see what we don't like, we know instantly what we do. As a part of nature, it seems that potential is within each of us, souls at the center, looking out again to inform ourselves. The eyes, the windows to the soul, with all the facets of a multifaceted being, the oneness is. When you meet another and look into that mirror, what will you project? Do you have generalizations of what men are, what women are? Then you project onto them? Are they strong enough to be who they truly are in that presence? Is beauty in the eye of the beholder? By seeing it in another, to be created in our reality? Again, projected out, fractal mirrors mirroring back at us. Anger or acceptance. Denise Lynn, if you've heard of her story, a Native woman was attacked at a time where there was a series of murders perpetuated in her area against women. Not unlike the Highway of Tears here in the north of BC. She looked into the eye of her attacker and saw love. He left at that moment, left her alive, which he hadn't done before. Are we that powerful that when we see it in another, we create it in our reality? Do we bring forth the being by seeing it? And simply by observing, is it already there? Let's not put ourselves in that kind of experiment, rather one more kind. Taking good stewardship of the physical temple of the scientist, the spiritualist. For me, I was given that opportunity at a young age, and I think I've spoken that recently. I had a stepfather, a monster in my childhood, who often beat my mom. She would not want me to speak of this. I only do so because of the gold it created in a most precious metal on the physical level. Only once did she allow him to discipline me, never again. But could she really stop him? And I often imagine what I would have done if I were her. From a child's perspective, it was so wrong. It seemed ridiculous to me to be accepting that level of treatment. From anger, I imaged I would have taken a cast iron fry pan to his head in his sleep. Oh, is that monster in me? If I see it, am I projecting it? Do I also have that? It was the only way to feel powerful at that time. It's all that I knew. By thought in a house where all I could do was be seen and not heard, as many of us were raised with many of these phrases, children should be projected onto us, when truthfully, they're closer to the divine than any. They remember more than we even know. Simply, I would go within, to the closet, to the cell. Is that a fractal reality? Wherever you go physically, are you able to go within yourself as well? To safety. No longer there, though, was by owning that small child projecting out something so powerful that he would no longer touch her. Could he see that on that causal thought level, those thought forms, the thoughts that forms the reality, that I was a powerful being within me, and he wouldn't touch me again? He died 10 years later in a truck, smashed by a man who fell asleep at the wheel. I'd long before accepted he was who he was, being a POW of World War II. It still brings tears to my eyes what he must have went through. Some terrible trauma he relived and recanted whenever he had a few drinks. The stories. We'll just cancel, erase. Nobody needs to hear those. It's the darkness. So let's no longer tell our sad stories. Instead, be empowered, whether it's the one inside, the spirit in the cell, or another beautiful being. For in speaking, we become, they become. Cancel, delete any of those thoughts you have for another, of revenge or anger. Or if you suffer at all, I implore you to imagine it better. For from the feelings you generate from those thoughts, there's a magnetic ability. We are electromagnetic beings. The thought is the electric, the form, the magnet is the feeling that draws it to you. Own and be compassionate to the monster, the mirror, who may too be within you. Cellularly, singularly. Simply see it better, be it better. Accept the love part. Clear out the big six: anger, the shame, the sadness, the fear, the hurt, the guilt. At least starting with acceptance of your power, that you all have it within you as well. It's far more energy, even as the seed has to be cracked open to let it open. And it did. For me, that was the moment when it cracked it open. I didn't understand for decades after. Choose, dear beings, not to name them a monster or a nemesis, rather to see how far buried their divine might be. Excavating the soul, as Lassio would say. Layers and layers. Issues arise physically, for when we're stuck, the emotions are like acid rain feeding them, unless we've chosen higher, unless we set the intent to be better. Repressed or denied, false, dominant, projecting and blaming, rather than choosing and owning. The one who gave me the opportunity to see physically what may mentally, emotionally be at cause for the creation of my world, so that may, like a game of leapfrog, not have those unkind experiences perpetuated. I remember now from a greater perspective. He was an English teacher. He was extremely charismatic, creative, and also kind in so many ways, and I rejected it for years. Till he passed. I had learned a certain amount of compassion for him, but I held on to that anger. It wasn't until recently that I realized it was within me, and I brought it forth, and I had to deal with it. You know, cancer does not happen to us by accident. It lives within us until we are able to overcome it. So let us as one organism own our future, treating all opportunities like you chose it, for you did. Because divine masters, you challenge yourself to express your true potential in every moment. So whatever you are facing, simply because you have gained all the skills you require, it will come to you to overcome. Good energy, great beings. Going from probabilities to potential to possibilities. Express who you truly are. The love, as Ollie so intuitively brought to us at the start. Like a seed to germinate, transform into taller trees, higher emotional states, being as much as possible part of nature, ever continuing. Thank you for your time. I'd like to walk you through a short exercise before we go into a meditation and just maybe help you excavate a little bit. Clear what might be dark for you so that you can express who you truly are. Take some of the charge off of the potential that you have. So if you'd like to pick a time when you were in ouch, in effect, whether it's past or present, and relationships, they bring out some of those moments, don't they? It's why we need them. We need each other to help us go inward and find it. So pick a time or an event that triggers or bugs you that you can't quite let go of. Person who hurt you. That event that happened in society, whatever level. Now with your eyes closed, bring it on a screen in front of you. Also notice where it is. Is it up to the left? Is it to the right? Look through your eyes and get fully associated with it. Feel the feelings. Now leaving your body there, step back 3 feet out of that event. And as you do so, begin to take that event and push it 10 feet out away from you. Make it small, make it dark. Ask from this point of view, what can I learn from this? How is this a projection? What am I imaging and creating that I have ultimate control over?
So how was the old chat outside, folks? Great, excellent. Glad to hear. Good job, Tracy. It was awesome. I'm buzzing right now. This conversation that we had, the exercise that you led us through, everything was just right.
That words are only 7% of what you got.
That's right. It was all nonverbal.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Mind-blowing and heart-opening. That's the combo. That's the sweet spot. And I think you nailed it. So thank you once again. That was a thought-provoking talk, led to great discussion inside and outside, which is lovely to hear. And that's really what we're all about here. I mean, I don't want to minimize the person who does the talk, but the way that I look at the success of a talk is the conversation it generates after. And since we've started gathering over a year ago, there has never been a bad conversation. It always generates lots of interest and stimulation, and people, you know, thank you all, because you're all very candid and people share. You know, some of us are strangers to each other practically, but you're still out here opening your heart and being vulnerable and sharing. And I don't know, it's beautiful to see. And I'm just extremely grateful for it all. So thank you all for your contributions. Awesome. All right. Well, once again, thank you all for your presence, your energy, your wisdom. Thanks for sharing your truth. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.